it's a part of our lives. However, stress does not just happen. It's a process. Each show is theme-based and based on medical evidence. On Stress Relief Radio, we'll help you. We'll discuss innovative ways to reduce stress. We welcome your calls, your questions, your emails. That's Stress Relief Radio every Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, right here on CRN Digital Talk.
We're back on La La Land with Brett and Nettie. We're starting a show here on CRN. It premieres May 8th. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that a little later on in the hour. But right now we're talking to Andy Frew, who is our lighting designer here at Theater Palisades. Andy's been involved with the theater for about 20 years. And something kind of interesting about Andy, he is actually a neurosurgery specialist as his side job, which is definitely a different type of theater. Thanks for coming on the show, Andy.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So you've been involved for about 20 years at Theater Palisades, is that right?
Actually, it's the first show that I was involved in was a black comedy, and I produced that with Pat Perkins. And then since then, I've been producing or doing light design, sound design, painting sets, sweeping the floor, selling cookies, whatever it takes. This is theater.
Doing what you have to do.
A little bit of everything, yeah, and that's what makes it fun.
Absolutely. How did you come to be involved with Theater Palisades?
Well, I moved to Palisades about 28 years ago, and when I moved here, where we were sitting right now was a big piece of dirt with some foundation on it. It took about 9 years for the building to be completed, and I was intensely curious about what it was going to be. So it finally opened in '89, and I came to a number of shows, and there was a little note on the newspaper on the front page of the Post that they were looking for volunteers. I wandered over, and they took me around. They showed me the really cool stuff up in the light booth, and I was hooked. I really enjoyed it. I've been having a great time ever since.
That's a great thing about Theater Palisades is they really encourage people from the community and outside the community to be involved.
Oh, absolutely. Join the family.
You were wandering around. What were you doing during that time before you were involved with the theater?
Oh, well, working mostly.
At UCLA as a neurosurgery specialist, right?
Actually, at that time I was working for LADWP as an engineer and bored out of my skull. It was later that I ended up going to UCLA and becoming a neurosurgery specialist.
A neurosurgery specialist.
Yeah.
Who does the lighting here at Theater Palisades. Wow.
That's two different worlds, definitely.
Very different. The inner world of brain mapping, which is what I do, and then the whole creative side here at Theater Palisades. But what I love about projects here at Theater Palisades as opposed to the projects at UCLA is we can fail miserably here, and half of the audience won't notice. The other half will love it anyway. No one will be blinded or deafened or paralyzed.
Right.
And we'll all have a good time doing it anyway.
Oh, goodness.
Not that we ever failed miserably at Theater Palisades.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what you consider miserable. If I miss a light cue, I feel like I failed miserably.
It's kind of funny. Sometimes you can see Andy up in the light booth, and he's out there with his iPad working on the brains and doing his work while he's working the lights. So he's a multitasker.
So tell us about what the difference is. You know, you're doing a Neil Simon farce as opposed to, you know, like a more of a musical theater piece. What would be the challenges and the differences between the lighting, trying to figure out the lighting world between the two?
Well, typically a drama or a farce is going to be a little more realistic on the lighting. You're going to have a lighting that looks like a room in the daytime or a porch at night, whatever, and you don't have a whole lot of creativity or flexibility. Whereas a musical, anything goes. You can do the wild colors, just change the scene from second to second, from verse to verse. You can change the whole feeling of the lighting. It's a much larger challenge, which have much greater opportunities to be very expressive with it. And it also depends largely, as much so, on the director and what the director wants to see, how he wants the piece to be presented. So every show, it's going to be something different.
What made you get into lighting in general? Are you from the East Coast or Seattle, perhaps, where there is no light?
You never have any lighting?
What's the deal?
No, I for many years, actually since I was 5, I've been a photographer. My parents gave me a camera when I was 5 years old, and I've always been fascinated with lighting and setting moods and creating effects, etc., when with the photography, and then suddenly to have this opportunity to do it in 4 dimensions, meaning you have the time dimension, and
Wow.
anyway, it's just a marvelous way to express beyond what I would normally do with the camera.
4 dimensions. 4 dimensions. Okay.
Now, if you could pick one thing, and this is something I asked Anna earlier, and I know it's tough to pick one thing, but if you could pick one thing that you enjoy most about Theater Palisades being here, what would it be?
Family.
Which is similar to what Ann said.
Yeah. It's just like a big, extended, sometimes dysfunctional, but happy family.
Right. What is theater without the community?
Exactly. And it's a very interesting
Non-existent.
community, because we have those of us who work behind the scenes, that direct or work the box office or paint the set, that we're here all the time, and then we have this sort of transient group, the actors, that come, and they're part of the family for a while, and it's great fun, and then there's the show ends and there's a sad departure, but then some of them come back and we have we're reunited, and it's just a marvelous sense of community.
I'm sure a lot of the actors want to come back. They absolutely.
I know after I did my first show, I definitely wanted to come back.
And he's still here.
I'm still here.
And he's still here on the chair.
And, the thing that's interesting, too, about Theater Palisades is we've had a couple of celebrities work here. I know that Amy Adams did a show here back in around 1990.
That was spring of 2000. We did Crimes of the Heart.
Spring of 2000. I know Zoe Deschanel has worked here.
Yeah, she was I believe she was a runner-up for Miss Palisades several years ago. So she did her gig here on our stage several years ago. I don't think she got it, unfortunately, but she's certainly gone on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, she's done okay for herself, right?
Absolutely. And something interesting, too, Tom Hanks's niece did a show here about a year ago, and he came to see the show.
With his wife, Rita Wilson. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, she's going to be on the stage here Tuesday night.
Rita Wilson?
Carly.
Carly, his niece.
His niece will be here, yes.
Okay. Oh, okay. Wow.
And what is she here on Tuesday night for? What's she doing?
That's the staged readings we're doing. It's the original pieces done by Palisadian playwrights. This Tuesday is Turning 30 by Lisa Visca. So it'll be a premiere of the piece in a staged reading form. It's not.
Wonderful.
And we're going to be
coming.
We're going to be having those every Tuesday for the next 4 Tuesdays, I believe.
Yeah, I believe we're skipping the 3rd Tuesday because I believe is that Passover.
I think so.
There's something going on, so we're moving. So there'll be actually 3 Tuesdays in April, and then the 1st Tuesday of May.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on and talking to us,
Thank you for having
Andy.
me. It was great fun.
And get up there in the booth. Get ready to go.
Time to get back to work.
Showtime.
Time to rock.
We'll be back on La La Land with Brett and Nettie.
Brett and Nettie.
On Broadway, looking at them just gives me the blues.
CRN travelers, relax at the beautiful Fountain Grove Inn and Conference Center in Santa Rosa, California. Come to quality and come to luxury. Experience the newly renovated guest rooms. They're